Have you ever wondered about the ancient roots of Zimbabwe, one of Africa's enigmatic lands? Let's turn the clock back to around the 11th century, when the Kingdom of Zimbabwe emerged, carving a significant chapter in Africa's rich tapestry of history. The kingdom was a beacon of architectural prowess, creating awe-inspiring stone structures that still stand tall today, defying time and elements. These structures, the largest ancient stone creations in sub-Saharan Africa, weren't just architectural marvels but symbols of power and influence. They were the heartbeat of a flourishing civilization, buzzing with vibrant trade and cultural exchanges. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe wasn't just a kingdom, it was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. The rise and fall of this ancient kingdom, its culture, its people, and its stone structures, all contributed to shaping the Zimbabwe we know today. Thus, the ancient kingdom of Zimbabwe laid the first stones of what we know as Zimbabwe today. But what happened when the first Europeans set foot on Zimbabwean soil? In the 16th century, the tranquil landscapes of Zimbabwe were stirred by the arrival of Portuguese explorers. These bold voyagers, led by a thirst for adventure and the allure of untapped resources, embarked on a journey into the heart of the African continent. The Portuguese explorers were the first Europeans to make contact with the local tribes, the Shona and the Ndebele. This contact introduced new dynamics into the region, as the Europeans brought with them not just their culture and religion, but also their insatiable appetite for trade and conquest. The Portuguese established trade routes connecting Zimbabwe with Mozambique and the wider world. These routes became arteries of commerce, pulsating with goods like gold, ivory, and textiles. However, they also brought with them diseases and conflicts, disrupting the balance of the local societies. As the centuries rolled on, the Portuguese influence waned, making way for a new force on the horizon, the British. The late 19th century witnessed the arrival of British colonialists, led by Cecil Rhodes and his British South Africa Company. Rhodes, a man of ambition and vision, saw in Zimbabwe a land of immense potential and wealth. The British, armed with advanced technology and a mission to expand their empire, gradually took control of Zimbabwe. They renamed it Rhodesia after Cecil Rhodes, marking the beginning of a new chapter in the country's history. The once independent kingdoms of the Shona and Ndebele people were now under the yoke of the British Empire. The British rule brought significant changes, some beneficial, others detrimental. They introduced modern education and infrastructure, but also exploited the country's resources and people, creating deep-seated socio-economic divides that persist to this day. The arrival of Europeans marked a significant shift in Zimbabwe's history, leading it towards a turbulent future. The story of Zimbabwe is a tale of resilience and struggle, of a people's journey through the annals of time. As we delve deeper into this journey, we'll explore the Rhodesian Era, the fight for independence, and the Zimbabwe of today. So, how did Zimbabwe become Rhodesia, and how did it affect the people? In the late 19th century, Cecil Rhodes's British South Africa Company, or BSAC, arrived in what is now Zimbabwe. Their mission, veiled behind the guise of a peaceful exploration, was to exploit the region's vast mineral resources. By 1898, the BSAC had gained control over the territory, renaming it Rhodesia after Cecil Rhodes. Under Rhodes's rule, the indigenous people of Zimbabwe were marginalized, their lands seized and their rights trampled upon. This was the beginning of a long and harsh era of racial segregation and economic exploitation. The native Zimbabweans were forced into labor, working in mines and on farms owned by white settlers. Their lives were dictated by a set of discriminatory laws that favored the white minority. In 1923, the British government granted responsible government status to Rhodesia, essentially handing over the administration of the territory to the white settler minority. This move further entrenched the system of racial segregation, with the white settlers now having the power to create laws and policies that served their interests. The Land Apportionment Act of 1930 was one such policy. It divided the land in Rhodesia, allocating the most fertile regions to the white settlers, while the native Zimbabweans were pushed to arid, less productive areas. This act also restricted the African population from owning land in the areas designated for Europeans, further deepening the racial divide. In the years that followed, the African population resisted the oppressive rule, leading to a rise in African nationalism and the birth of liberation movements. The fight for independence was sparked, fueled by the desire to reclaim their land, their rights, and their dignity. The Rhodesian Era was a dark time in Zimbabwe's history, a time of oppression and struggle. But it was also a time that sowed the seeds of resistance and the fight for freedom, a fight that would eventually lead to the creation of an independent Zimbabwe. But how did the oppressed people of Zimbabwe gain their freedom? Let's take a look at the fight for independence, a journey marked by resistance, resilience, and an unyielding desire for self-determination. In the mid-20th century, the struggle for independence became a tangible reality. Nationalistic sentiment was growing, fueled by years of oppression and discrimination under colonial rule. The seeds of rebellion were planted, germinated, and nurtured by two prominent political entities: the Zimbabwe African National Union, or ZANU, and the Zimbabwe African People's Union, or ZAPU. These two entities, while both committed to the cause of independence, were ideologically different. ZANU, led by the enigmatic Robert Mugabe, advocated for armed resistance, while ZAPU, under the leadership of Joshua Nkomo, initially pursued a more diplomatic approach. The late 60s and 70s saw the escalation of the liberation struggle into a full-blown guerrilla war, known as the Rhodesian Bush War. With fighters trained in neighboring countries, the freedom fighters of ZANU and ZAPU, known as the Chimurenga, waged a fierce war against the Rhodesian forces. Despite the intense conflict and the heavy losses on both sides, the spirit of the Zimbabwean people remained unbroken. Their determination culminated in the Lancaster House Agreement of 1979, which finally led to the recognition of Zimbabwe's independence by the international community. In April 1980, after years of relentless struggle, Zimbabwe was finally free. Robert Mugabe, the iconic figure of the liberation struggle, became the first Prime Minister of the newly independent nation. This marked a new chapter in the history of Zimbabwe, a chapter filled with hope, expectations, and the promise of a better future. And so, through relentless struggle and sacrifice, Zimbabwe was born anew from the ashes of Rhodesia. The fight for independence was not just a struggle against colonial rule, but a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Zimbabwean people, their resilience and their unwavering commitment to freedom and self-determination. But what became of Zimbabwe after its hard-won independence? In the wake of its liberation, Zimbabwe rode the waves of newfound sovereignty, buoyed by a sense of optimism and hope. Yet, like any young nation, it faced a myriad of challenges. Chief among these were socio-economic issues, with unemployment, poverty, and political instability casting long shadows over the country. But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Zimbabwe's economy, once considered the breadbasket of Africa, has faced a roller coaster ride. Turbulent land reforms and hyperinflation have left their marks. But despite these setbacks, the nation has shown resilience, striving to rebuild and revitalize its economy. The agriculture sector, the backbone of Zimbabwe's economy, is experiencing a resurgence. The nation's fertile soils are once again being tilled, sowing the seeds of hope for a bountiful harvest. Zimbabwe's mineral wealth, including gold, platinum, and diamonds, is also a significant contributor to its economy. So, what have we learned about the intriguing history of Zimbabwe? We journeyed from the ancient kingdom of Zimbabwe, marveled at the architectural grandeur of the great Zimbabwe ruins, and felt the spray of the majestic Victoria Falls. We've witnessed the arrival of Europeans and the struggle for independence that followed, shaping the nation's trajectory. We ventured into the Rhodesian Era, an era marked by the resilience of the people. We've also explored the vibrant wildlife, traditional cultures, and the bustling cities of Harare and Bulawayo. We've tasted the unique flavors of Zimbabwean cuisine and admired the rich tapestry of arts and crafts. We've seen Zimbabwe today navigating through various socio-economic challenges, yet brimming with opportunities for growth and progress. We've acknowledged the country's ongoing conservation efforts, a testament to its commitment to preserving its natural heritage. As we've seen, Zimbabwe's history is a tale of resilience and transformation, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people.